Hey, Algebra 1 students, this video is video number 1 for lessons 7.5 and 7.6. 7.5 and 7.6 we do all together, and you're going to start on page 26 in your note packet. So the factoring method we use for 7.5 and 7.6 is called Xbox, which is what I have right here. The first step in doing an Xbox problem is doing the X. I also want to quickly say for Xbox, we're going to be factoring mainly trinomials that would look similar to this. Obviously, you could have different numbers here, but you'll have an X, you'll have a trinomial, you'll have 3 terms. You'll have an X squared, an X to the 1, and then a constant. So this is the method where we use the Xbox, or this is the polynomial where we use the Xbox. Most of the problems that we'll look at in 7.5 and 7.6, you can't factor by GCF, which is what we used in 7.4, because you won't be able to find a GCF. There won't be one. All right, let's get into practicing your first step in Xbox, which is the X. First thing I want you to do is under this 15, put some kind of symbol so you know that that is multiply, and then above that 8, a plus. So what we are looking for are two numbers that are going to go here and here that multiply to give me 15 and add to give me 8. So you want to start by listing the factors of 15 just like we did when we were finding greatest common factor. So go ahead and write those down, pause the video if you need to. So 15 times 1 gives you 15, 3 times 5 gives you 15. Now I want to pick the factors that also, in this case, add to give me 8. Well, I can see right there that 3 and 5 give me 8 when I add them, 15 when I multiply them. When you find those numbers, circle them, because when we do the whole process, X and box, I'm going to have you circle those. All right, let's try another. So remind yourself that we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give us this number on the top, put a multiply there, and add to give us the number on the bottom. So we have a negative here. So that might change things a little bit, but you're always going to start with listing the factors of this top number, because you need to find two numbers that multiply to give you that top number. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time figuring out how we get these. We went over that when we were doing greatest common factor. Either use your multiplication chart or use your calculator. But in this case, just go ahead and list those. Okay, now I want to think, I need two numbers that add to give me negative 11. So if you start adding these, you'll see that 3 plus 8, well, 3 plus 8 gives you positive 11. But let's go ahead and put those in and think, what can we do so that when we add these two numbers, we get negative 11? Right now I'm good. 8 times 3 gives me positive 24. But I need a negative 11 down here when I add them. So if I add two negatives, I get a bigger negative. If I multiply two negatives, I get a positive. So if we just make both of these negative, that works for us. Negative 3 plus negative 8 is negative 11. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. So again, when we do the whole process, I'm going to have you circle these when you find the ones that work. So this will be true. Negative number down here, positive up here. Both of these factors will be negative. All right, let's do another one. We got something different here. We got a negative up top, but we're still going to start, for now, just ignore that negative, and list factors of 16. 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. Okay, now if you're thinking, oh, I'm looking for two factors that add to give me 6, you're not going to find them. If you add these, you get 17. If you add these, you get 10. If you add those, you get 8. But this is a negative number. And remember, I'm multiplying to get that negative 16. So the only way to get a negative number when I'm multiplying is to have one negative and one positive. So I'm going to have a negative number and a positive number here. That's the only way I can get a negative number when I multiply. And then think, what happens when I add a negative and a positive? Well, when I add a negative and a positive, I'm really subtracting. So now I want to look at these factors and think, which pair of factors, when I subtract them, get me a 6? So I notice 8 subtract 2 is 6. So I'm going to put 2 and 8 here. This is a plus, by the way. Okay, now I know I need to make one of these negatives, so when I multiply them, I get negative 16. So I have to figure out which one needs to be negative, so when I add them, I get 6. And sometimes you'll just try something and it might not work. I'm going to try negative 2 because I'm thinking if this is positive, I want the bigger of these two factors to be positive. So when I combine them, I'll have more positives than negatives. And this works. 8 minus 2 is 6. Negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. So that is how you do this first step of these X boxes. I'm going to say you should try these. So right now I want you to pause the video and try these problems. And then after you've tried them, restart the video and check your answers. So hopefully you paused it and tried these. And now you can check your answers. 2 and 5, 6 and 3, negative 4 and negative 4, negative 9 and 3, 16 positive and 16 negative. Okay, I'm going to stop this video now. And in the next video, we'll start looking at actually doing the whole process of X and box.